morning, evening, afternoon. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Armoured Viper's Pit. We've got a very special guest here today. I'd like to introduce to you all what are you, Phil? The Assistant Shadow Minister for Defence.
Yes, that's good enough.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Close enough. Yeah.
I think you're pretty highly qualified for that role, don't you?
So I'm sure there's others there that are qualified too, but doesn't saw fit to put me in that role, mate.
Oh, well, I reckon what tours over in Afghanistan and what you've seen over there pretty highly qualifies you for that role.
Lines it up okay, and I work closely with Andrew Hasty. He's the Shadow Defence Minister, and I'm the Shadow Assistant Minister for Defence. And, he served with B34 first, and then went to Afghanistan at the same time as me, and then went back over with the SAS at a later stage. So he's very qualified too.
Oh, geez, I couldn't imagine that.
Well, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's just a good guy that cares a lot about the country, cares a lot about the direction we're going. So it works pretty well hand in glove. I do all the inward facing stuff, so everything around soldiers, their kit, that kind of, and he does the big go fight Richard Marles on geopolitical national direction, and so it works out pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty sad to hear about 3rd Brigade on their Capiong Day being told that they may not be a mechanised unit anymore.
Well, that's what you get from a part-time minister in Richard Marles, because he's the Deputy Prime Minister on one hand, and he's the Minister for Defence on the other. So, he leans heavily on the Deputy Prime Minister side, not so much on he's the Minister for Defence.
Yeah.
It was kind of very out of step, very out of touch, shows a lack of understanding. So the only mechanised, battalion that we have in Northern Australia or in North Queensland and in Townsville being 3 area, he tells them on Capiong Day, which is arguably their most sacred day, right? So tells them that they pretty much won't have a job, and all these people that are been mechanised for so long, learned so much, dived into it, kind of got a slap across the face, kick in the guts and a punch in the ribs, and told, yeah, well, we don't think you'll be the mechanised unit anymore. So now what?
Yeah, what do they do? Like,
We don't know.
Does everyone go and remuster to a different...
Well, I don't know. But so Richard came up here, the Minister for Defence came up here only a week ago, or maybe a week and a half ago, and didn't go C3 area.
What?
So went out and saw, went out to the Chooks at 5 Ave, and spoke with them. Well, they came and saw me after and said he spoke to them. They weren't allowed to ask any questions, but he didn't go out to 3 area and look them in the eye and say, this is what your new purpose will be or your role will be. Kind of cowardly, and was hiding under a 50-minute visit.
That's not fair.
No, it's pretty pathetic, to be honest.
And, these guys have gone and done all their IETs, gone and got all trade qualifications. They're doing their return of service obligation, and they don't even know whether they got a service anymore.
Well, they're using the APC. The APC is a relic. We've had it for 60-odd years. I think it's since 1963 we've had it. So it's literally in museums around the world, and 3 hours have been using because they've been told, use this just for formation and training. You're going to be getting the new Land 400 Phase 3 vehicle, whichever it is, whether it's Hanwha or Rheinmetall. So they've been doing all this stuff, and then to get told, oh, no, you're not doing it anymore. And then 3CR, who have who would be getting the Land 400 Phase 3 tracked vehicle as well, because they use it for IED and searching and stuff like that, and counter ID stuff, and other non-combat corps that will get it have all been told, well, you probably won't either, and have also been told they're extending the APC out to 2030. So it was supposed to retire this relic, which we should have done many moons ago, now being extended. So it's pretty bad.
Oh, I get the idea of getting the use out of your materials and all that, but when something's literally fit for the grave, there's not much further you can actually extend that.
Literally, it's in museums around the world, right? So we're the only ones that are still operating it. It can't operate well on training. It definitely can't operate in defence or on combat operations. So, you got to listen to experts. The Chief of Army, for example, an expert, I would say. came out and said we need in full the Land 400 Phase 3 tracked vehicle because it will keep people safe. Words to that effect.
Yes.
It will increase the survivability of soldiers.
Yep.
So, expert Chief of Army says that. And apparently, Richard Marles thinks he knows better and isn't doing it. We've seen a US general came out recently and he said something on the lines of, it's okay if you don't want to get tanks, but that's if you don't want to win.
Yeah.
We want to win wars, you want to win fighting, you want to win for surviving and defending. You need tanks, you need combined arms, which is tracked infantry fighting vehicles, it's artillery, it's all those kind of stuff. But you need that. And we're not investing in it, right?
They're all designed to support each other.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So, and this is the problem when you have part-time ministers. So you've got a part-time defence minister right now in Richard Marles. You've got Pat Conroy, who's the defence industry minister. And mate, he is a lightweight. So when they came to Townsville and didn't take any questions, I was like, it's probably because of him.
Yeah.
Because he's probably not across his brief.
Yeah.
But, move the lightweight to the side and the Minister for Defence should be standing in front of these soldiers, aviators and sailors, wherever they may be, and going, this is why we've cut X, Y, Z, or this is why you're getting X, Y, Z, and then take questions from the ground.
Yeah.
Not from the general, from the ground, from the soldier.
And on the Minister for Defence as well, has he come towards any sort of interim determination to what the Royal Commission's brought in? Because
that'll sit most likely with Matt Keogh in Veterans Affairs portfolio. They've sort of announced some stuff and moved in a direction of where they want to go. They haven't done it all. I am assuming, and I'm pretty critical of them, and I'm pretty critical of Matt Keogh because anytime he gets up in question time, he doesn't bring DVA or Veterans Affairs in a bipartisan approach. He's very partisan.
Yep.
He'll get up and say, only we're doing X, Y, Z, and it's crap, right? So I do think he'll do the right thing, but within budget constraints.
Yeah.
The Veterans Affairs portfolio should be in cabinet. That's where the money gets allocated. That's where you fight for everything.
Absolutely.
That's the senior people in a government sit in cabinet. He's not. They've pulled them out. Veterans Affairs, when we were in government and now we're in opposition, sit in cabinet because that's where all the decision making really gets done. So I'd like to think he would do it. I do get nervous around that kind of stuff though.
Because from what my advocate has been telling me, just to make a determination on liability is taking up to 700 days to even get through liability stage. And then to get through permanent impairment, we're up to a year now, 364 days waiting time.
Yeah. So what DVA or what this government is implementing, which is on back of a recommendation, which I'm still questioning parts around it, is they want to harmonise all the acts.
Yep.
So you've got you got VEA, which is you've seen operational service pre-2004.
Yep.
Circa, you haven't seen operational service pre-2004. You've got MERCA post-2004 that covers both operational and non-operational. And then you got DERCO as well. So they want to pretty much grandfather, and I said grandfather, but when I got a briefing from the department, they told me I have to call it grandparent. We're getting very, very, well, you're not allowed to say that anymore apparently, but when you grandfather the old legislation, so if you've put a claim in, then you'll keep it, but anyone from then on won't be under that. You'll be under this new, whatever the name may be, going into the future, and everyone will be under that. So just say you served in Iraq in 2003. You haven't put any claims in because you've been doing very well, or whatever the case may be, and right now you're coming to the end of your career, and those knee injuries, those shoulder injuries, the mental illness, all those things start bubbling up. If it goes past the cutoff line, you wouldn't be able to put a claim in under VEA.
Yeah, right.
So that scares me, that kind of bit.
Does a little bit.
Yeah, I understand they want to harmonise it. We just got to get into the detail of it a bit more, because good ideas don't come out of Canberra or Brisbane or where any government sits. Good ideas get developed and thought about and marinated in communities, in the regions, and from our people.
Yep.
And then it goes to Canberra, and then that's where they try and make it work. If we allow governments of any persuasion to be the person that makes designs and makes the decision, you're going to have problems, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So they're doing a bit of a roadshow. They're getting asked hard questions. Hopefully we'll see a draft on it, because right now, one computer doesn't talk to the next, doesn't talk to the next. Paper copies. We don't have claims here in Townsville. You've got to they get sent from here to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Like, so someone on the phone in Melbourne is talking to you going, oh, yep, it says whatever. Well, they don't feel it, see you. You know what I mean? Like they never met a veteran.
They just say it's just as simple as going to your GP and getting this, but they don't realise that in regional areas, you're up to a 3, 4, sometimes 6 week wait to see your GP.
Nothing's as easy as going to see a GP, and that's how it doesn't work like that. And it should be whatever a list of cause go. Okay, you have lumbar spondylosis, so you've got pain in your lower back and from bulging discs, or things like that. Okay, your GP's sent you to get a scan. It comes back with that's what's on there. You should be able to just put that in, and it just automatically get approved.
Yeah.
If you whatever call you've been in on a time frame, not work out how many kilos you've carried over the last decade. Not you need to, talk about your lifestyle and what sports or events that you've done in the past. It should be, for my case or someone like mine, you've been an infantry soldier, you've done for X, Y, Z. That means you're expected to carry this much on your back. Therefore, this injury is consistent with your job. Therefore, goes through. That there sounds like common sense.
Yeah,
that's what we should be doing.
There's more medical jargon around what you can and can't put in compared to what they will actually accept. Because I know myself, I've had a fair bit of a fight with them, and I've got an injury to my ankle, but when I went to go see my specialist, he said, it's an exploratory surgery on your foot, and because they used the word foot instead of ankle, DVA didn't want to cover it. You know, but it all comes down to the flow-on effect as well.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a certain injury to a certain part, it can actually affect the other part that's attached to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure that there's people, the people that work at DVA, really want to do the right thing every day that they get up. I know, I believe that in my heart. And, I just think the bouncing ball hits must be, then that's what it is. And I think that it'd be good to have like a roadshow of veterans go out to the department and go, this is who we are, this is what we go through, this is what we do, this is what we look like.
Yeah.
To make it more of a personable thing. Because imagine if you're sitting in a massive department, 10-story high building, you're on the 5th floor, you're on an open plan, you've got your computers, 3 screens in front of you, and it says this equals this equals this.
That's and they've got no room to wiggle.
And there's no feel, right? There's no, maybe there's a little bit of a mistake with that wording. That's okay because I know this is what it means or this is what the person's done. Like a bit more in-depth knowledge on their part. And increasing numbers to be able to cut through that is a good idea, but the training needs to be there as well. Because no one rocks up in their work and goes, oh, how do I negatively affect people today? That's not the case. And I don't think anyone would suggest that. I think there's been a failure of getting people, veterans down there and doing, and not the ones that wear the suits and the ones that are high flying. Get people that's real, right? Like you've just done your surgery on your ankle. Go down and tell them about this. Or you've gone through and you've had a very bad experience and talked through it, or you've had a really good one and you still talk. You need to have that breadth of understanding.
And I think with being able to streamline the acts and get them all above board would go a lot further to actually keeping people's mental stability in check as well, because I think it's more the wait times that we're sitting there in limbo and we're going, where do we go? What do we do? Who do we turn to?
Yeah. I think
Being involved with Centrelink, having to survive on New Start for up to 4 or 5 years for your claim to go through, I think that's mainly what the stressor is for a lot of these poor fellas.
and that's you don't want people to be doing that. And,
No.
I believe that when you're going through this kind of process and the long periods of time, it definitely adds to poor mental health, and in some cases mental illness. We've heard in the Royal Commission that long wait times have contributed to suicide.
Yeah.
Because the view of, we've gone over, whether it's on operations, whether it's here, at any stage, you've signed a blank check to your country to say, I'm willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice in service to my nation.
Yep.
Not every person deploys. We know that. And doesn't matter though. So if you've been injured here or been injured overseas, you still get the same treatment for your injury. But when you're not getting that support and the claims process is blowing out 2 years longer, the feeling of your self-worth is deteriorating. You've given your all to your country, and now you can't even get looked after for medical expenses, like for an ankle surgery.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that just compounds, and then you're not getting the communication back. You're changing advocates. You didn't put the right paperwork in at some stage because all of this is just compounded. Like, these things could happen. It happened to me. I put in the wrong paperwork twice, and that's why it took over 2 years for them to tell me that I didn't do the right paperwork.
Yeah, like you would have had no idea what.
Yeah, I was 21. Yeah. So you go through all this, and then you get some bureaucratic legal jargon back that you're supposed to decipher and figure out if it's good or bad or
and
what
most
happens
people
next.
sit there and read it, and they just go mind blown. What do I do with it? And they don't know where to go.
Yeah, and that's why I think we need more advocates, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think we need paid advocates. The reason I say paid advocates is because a bit of the kind of not making anyone accountable. I don't think it's more of a, they do such a great job. And it's more of the older veterans now. That volunteerism is different to the different generations. But I do think paid advocates would see more advocates, but having mentors that make them get them up to standard and things like that.
And also having more mental health avenues for veterans to go down, or not even just veterans. My partner finds it hard to even get in to see a psychiatrist herself, or a psychologist for that matter, because we all know that, everything's got to be verified by a specialist to be related back to service. But trying to find a treating professional within, a 6-month time frame for mental health is so hard.
Oh, yeah. We don't have enough psychologists and psychiatrists.
We really don't.
In towns or in the regions. And then it comes down to, how do you get more?
Yeah.
How do you get more people to come here? So you go to a GP now, one off. You don't go to your one, you go to a different one. Your rebate for a DVA card's lower than what a rebate would be, or a bulk bill for Medicare, and if you're on a NDIS plan. So we sit lower than that. So we're not actually that attractive when it comes to this. But if you see a GP for a long period of time, because it's your GP, then yes, you're more viable. And I know it, when I say it, right, people go, oh yeah, but GPs do really well. Most of them are running a business, so they're trying to lower their overheads, maximize profit, right? And also see as many patients as possible.
Yeah.
We need to, I think that our DVA system needs to pay specialists including psychiatrists, psychologists, and GPs at the level that's appropriate, because people are getting rejected from GPs now.
Yeah.
So people go up, white card, gold card, whatever, and they say, "Oh no, we don't take it because it costs more." So we need to change that, because no veteran should be without medical treatment, and no veteran should ever be on a massive wait list. So to raise that up, I think that's raising what the rebate system would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that would go a long way to also alleviating a lot of the pressures and the stress on the system itself.
Yeah. Well, if you can't get into your doctor or your psychologist or psychiatrist, where do you end up? Potentially ED.
Yep. End
up in ED, and then you go through that process, or you don't, and you sit there for 6-7 hours, or there's a few people and it chokes up that as well. So having that service more available at the general practice, the psychology services and psychiatry should, in a sense, free up hospital emergency department.
And on that one as well, my advocate and myself have actually been working on something. He's been able to find a direct correlation between jet aviation fuel and obstructive sleep apnea through the CDC of America.
Yeah, okay.
So he's been trying to get that one through with DVA, but DVA don't seem to want to read any of the P reports.
Would he go through because in the department, I can't remember what it's called, but they have like a group of doctors.
Yep.
And to do like all the policies, and so they have like sort of like an offshoot board, and a better way to talk about it or to describe it. Maybe the avenue is to talk to them.
Yep.
Another avenue would be to talk with the Veterans Affairs Minister and let them know. So then all his little people there could go out and like, he's got a whole department, right? He's got hundreds of people that answer to him. So because when you go to the department, you're probably going to a claims processing person.
Yeah.
So they're dialed in on the claims process.
Yep.
Maybe not dialed in on the lateral side of this is an issue here. Here's peer review from overseas. Read it. Probably needs to go to the medical side, so then they can read it, digest it, chew it up, think it's good, ask more questions, and then that's how it could get added in.
Yeah,
I don't know, and maybe an idea. I could be completely off it, but I just think if you're going to a delegate, they're dialed in on the claim process.
Yeah.
So
like, I know myself. I've got OSA.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get to sleep, and then when you get to sleep, it's hard to wake up. And God knows my administrative record in the military reflects that. Yeah, oops. But if people, like say for white-handers or black-handers or whatever, if they're getting covered in fuel in their med docs and all that sort of thing, if that actually has a correlation, that might cause a bit of a complication for them later on in life if we can get it through.
Yeah, I would think that this is something that would, the department should investigate.
Yeah.
Especially if other coalition nations have gone through similar things.
Yeah, I did a bit of research on it myself, and they found that there is a direct link between jet aviation fuel and OSA. So
yeah, okay.
That was a bit of an eye opener for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you should definitely. I'm just trying to think of the avenue, but why doesn't he put it together and just send it to me, and then I'll see who I can get it in front of.
Oh, thank you so much, because that would help out a lot of people in our space. I know that for a fact, because there's a few blokes down Sydney that have also been covered in fuel, and they're not real well.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah, just send to me, and if they want to reach out, they can too.
Yeah.
Like come to me and I'll see what I can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how long do we have, do you think, before we'll see the subs?
I don't know the time. I think it'll be a while.
Be a while?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it'll be a while. Well, we've still got to. If you take away the subs in as the asset, and look at what needs to happen here in Australia for that, so you can't. You don't just throw subs together, or you don't just get them gifted to us without the docking ports that you need, without the infrastructure that's needed at different bases, the personnel to be able to use it, operate it, fix it. So that's the process that they've got to go through first, which includes making bases bigger or new bases. So and then working out how it all kind of links in, how it works, what's needed, because it is different to what we operate now.
And we'd be retraining our current submariners to go on to the brand new class already.
Yeah, so we'd have people in the States now. But then you have people there, then you need your engineers, then you need your docking, you need your base supports, you need everything that comes around it. Before one can even if one that we hire, for example, if that was to happen, even before that happens, you have to have the infrastructure to be able to do it.
Yeah, you got to have the logistical supply, otherwise it's dead in the water.
Yeah, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah. So it'd be a big paperweight.
So everyone talks about being in Parliament, everyone wants to talk about the when and the how good it will be, but what you need to be looking at is the infrastructure that we need first, the allocation in the budget framework for that, because you want to be moving it quickly, because the quicker that gets done, the quicker everything else gets done.
Absolutely.
Where defence industry will be located, who will benefit from it, who's going to get these kind of big contracts, what does it mean for Australian manufacturing, Australian industry content. So all this kind of stuff has to happen in conjunction, but before.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you don't have anything behind the gear, and if you don't have the men, there's no point in having the gear.
Well, it's like having a helicopter without a pilot, right?
Yeah.
Or a helicopter without a refueling station. Things that you need to, because the helicopter is the asset, but the way it gets off the ground and how it maneuvers and the support are all done on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need all that access here before you start putting subs in waters.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you about Mint Collectibles, your one-stop card shop. Are you a collector or a passionate fan of trading cards? Mint Collectibles has an extensive range of trading cards featuring your favourite sports like the NBA, iconic franchises like Star Wars, and even your beloved Pokemon. They have something special for everyone, whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out. Now here's where it gets exciting. As a listener of Armoured Viper's Pit, you have a special opportunity. Head on over to mintcollectibles.com.au, a local Queensland-based business, and use the code word Armoured Viper during checkout. By doing so, you will unlock an exclusive 10% off discount on their entire range. But it's not just a discount. By supporting Mint Collectibles, you're supporting a local business that cares about our community and believes in giving back. Let's show our support for a business that aligns with our values. Imagine enhancing your collection while also making a positive impact on our local community. So veterans, supporters, passionate collectors, don't miss out on this opportunity. Go to mintcollectibles.com.au today and use the code word Armoured Viper at checkout to unlock your exclusive 10% discount. Don't miss out, guys. Jump in now. No, we had a big power outage here last night with the substation.
Did you?
Yeah. There was a bit of an explosion, apparently, and the whole suburb plunged into darkness.
For how long?
About 3.5 hours. And they put down on the Ergon outage, actually, that it was for public safety reasons. And instantly I started thinking, well, hang on, They found a bloke yesterday with a hole through his buttocks because he was shot, and he's in intensive care in a serious condition. And they still haven't found the person that's pulled said trigger.
Oh.
That kind of scares me when they turn around and say that Ergon Energy has got a public safety reason.
Did they come out and just say it was a little explosion?
Oh, apparently it was all over Facebook and social media this morning. But with all the crime that's going on up here at the moment, it's like you yourself. You've been broken into twice. Twice now.
Yeah.
So that takes a little bit of brass balls, doesn't it?
What, for them to come to my house?
Come to your house?
I don't think it was targeted. I don't think they knew it was my house. But yeah, it's I'm a politician. Doesn't make me immune to crime. I just wish the state members got off their backside and kind of did what they needed to do to stop people feeling like prisoners in their own home.
Well, they're building a new juvenile detention centre, but I don't think that's going to be enough, is it?
But if you look at so putting people into detention is a punishment for bad behaviour.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop the bad behaviour happening. But it should be leveraged as a deterrent. But how do you stop the bad behaviour from happening? So you need early intervention at the prenatal kind of stage. And while you're going through that, then there's punishment for bad behaviour. Then there's post-vention where you have all other programs there. But detention is absolutely should be looked at as a deterrent. But if you look at Cleveland Youth Detention Centre, and I've worked there, it's a holiday camp. Like, it's got a pool, pizza nights. You know, I'd go there for a holiday if it wasn't for the youth criminals. I'd take my family there, right? So it's
so there's no incentive for them to not actually go and do what they do.
No. So you need to concrete up the pool. You need to take down all the basketball courts except for maybe one.
Yep.
The football field, no more football. You can play touch, and that's about it. But they have a football side that plays against other teams. You got to make it. The pizza night's gone. TVs in rooms for good behaviour now, not just for everyone. It needs to change because it doesn't reflect community expectation. It reflects a 5-star resort.
Yeah, if you do a crime, you expect to be punished for the crime, not rewarded for it.
So some of these, young criminals will go there and it'll be better facilities and amenities than the life of where they live now in the community. Individual rooms, pizza nights, all those kind of stuff. They're safe. So I want people to be safe if they're in detention. I want people to have the opportunity to rehabilitate, but it's a punishment.
Yeah.
It's not a reward. Yeah. So anything that is viewed of rewarding, it needs to be scrapped and taken apart. And that doesn't happen here. And that means there's a failure at the detention side, but a failure in the community from government groups that are allowing young people to be living in such terrible, scary circumstances. We've heard, and I've been given reports on young kids at an age of around 5 who have been sexually assaulted by a relative and given back to the relatives once the people are either out of jail or whatever.
How does that happen?
Well, I tell you what it does. It means we've failed. It means we've put this child back at risk. It is an absolute disgrace, and for it to occur means right now that poor child is in grave danger and at risk for something like this happening again.
And straight back in the same situation that they were trying to get away from.
Yep. So these things happen now, and until we see a government grip all that kind of stuff up at the state level, you will see a revolving door and a continual of high crime and high bad, very bad, very disgusting things happening to young people, and people who have had these things happen to them because of blind eyes being turned.
Yeah, I was absolutely horrified when I was doing a bit of research myself, and I came across a statistics page that was sponsored by the United Nations that turned around and said that Darwin and Townsville are both on par with reported crime with Tijuana, in Mexico.
Well, we've been compared to South Africa.
Yeah.
Right, where in Johannesburg, you don't stop at red lights. You roll through so you don't get carjacked.
Wow.
We're getting compared to there. So if you look at Alice Springs, that is just going berserk. It's war zone kind of viewing where people boarded up shops. You got bars down the sides of people's windows so people don't get broken into. And in Townsville, if your house hasn't been broken into, it's not about if it will, it's probably about when.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at today as just a day, you'd be going, well, whose house will it be tonight? Whose car's going to be on the road? Whose car's going to be targeting police with young criminals in it? But we've seen these cars target police cars. We've seen them target ambulances and ramming them. Like, we want our city back. And the way to do that is by having stronger laws, but also having that through from early intervention to post-vention programs set up, and keeping social media accountable.
Yeah.
You need to. There's an e-safety commission up who has the ability to remove things from the internet if given the proper legislation and scope. So Meta, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all those places need to be put on notice that if criminal activity has been posted on there, so youth criminal steals your car, films it and puts it on there, it should be removed and that person being banned. Because all that's doing is showing other people what you can get away with. It's glorifying your property being stolen, and you need to have a tough stance on it. It's not a silver bullet, but it's just an extra cog in the wheel to strengthen it.
Well, it would also be an extra way to police these young louts as well. Because if they go and film all their stuff and put it on Facebook, it's the quickest way to be able to track them down.
Well, you could probably find it right now if you really went looking that it's on there. But if you have weak laws where you're not punishing that bad behaviour, then nothing will really come from it after that.
No, and we've seen too many lives lost in Townsville alone.
Yeah.
Let alone the rest of the state.
Yeah, of course. So, well, the lady that was killed in Maryborough by a 13-year-old buying a stolen vehicle spent a lot of time in Townsville, did education and worked here in Townsville. And her auntie's reached out to me recently, and her children now grow up without a mother.
Yeah, that's not fair.
And so the punishment of that 13-year-old criminal must happen, but we've failed that it got to there in the first place because the event still would happen. You need to be targeting on where the touch point has happened previously to stop that happening and stop that happening again.
Yeah, and even if it means like having more youth programs or something to keep them out of that sort of limelight.
Yep, no, agreed.
We've got the TARs up here for young youth, but they can only do so much.
Yep.
If we had, same as the veteran situation, more advocates for young people, get to the root cause. Well, I hate to say the words, but get to the root cause of what the problems are for these young people. Maybe, just maybe, you might be able to divert them from the way of crime to begin with.
Yeah, well, the early intervention starts at the prenatal pregnancy stage, right? So that's where it should be targeted, not when they've already fallen over.
Yeah.
Because if you're hitting at we've already committed a crime or we're on the cusp of that fork in the road, you're probably going to lose out, right? Because after your program finished, they still go back into with their mates in the same situation, therefore the same circle.
Yeah.
And it's the same with veterans. You got to, if you target it early, get people in a positive mindset early after they've gone through their treatments or whatever they need to, you're more likely to to be able to get back to some positivity in your life. Because without meaningful engagement and/or meaningful employment, you're going to have really bad outcomes. That's why we see high rates of suicide. We need to. My view is we need to have something positive in people's lives. Somehow, getting that moving and encouraged, what will really change, I believe, the high, very high suicide rate we have. Because if you wake up with something that you love to do, or you're waking up to go to a job that you love to be in, you're gonna be more happy. But also knowing that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to fall over. But speaking to a professional is a must. It's not okay to suffer in silence. So all these things need to wrap around and together.
Oh, I myself, I was horrible. I thought I had absolutely nothing wrong with me, and everyone else had the problem.
Yeah.
But until I actually went and saw someone, I realised then that I actually had to get a handle on this. Otherwise, it wasn't looking good for me. I know myself, again, with all the struggles that I've had, like, people have got to reach out and got to ask for their support, because if you don't, it's just going to eat you alive.
Oh, of course, yeah, you're 100% right. It's you have to get to that point of getting in to see someone early, getting to the claims stuff early, not leaving it at the to later on in life, because it only compounds and it only gets worse, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the more you put it off, the worse it does get, because it just takes even longer to get through the system.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and we want to see the claims process quicker. There needs to be a lot more investment in there for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, guys, I think we might wrap it up, because Phil has another very important meeting to get to. Hopefully we'll have more time at another later date to be able to catch up.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Go to mintcollectibles.com.au today and use the code word Armoured Viper at checkout to unlock your exclusive 10% discount. Don't miss out, guys. Jump in now.